Okay, today I want to talk about anxiety because it is like the buzzword of the century. Having anxiety or people with anxiety, everyone has anxiety these days. First thing I want to say about anxiety is anxiety in some cases is a true mental illness. It is a sickness that people have, and I want to distinguish having stress and having anxiety as a very different thing. How you differentiate is stress is a normal reaction to a stressor, okay? For example, we have an exam coming up. I am stressed about the exam. I'm feeling anxiety about how I will do on the exam. I'm nervous about if I have enough time to study or if it will get me into the next school or normal response to a stressor. Okay, that is not anxiety, that is stress, that is overwhelm, that is fear. Let's go back to the side of anxiety. Anxiety is having those emotions of fear and overwhelm and panic without a stressor. It is just having panic for things that don't make sense. And I want you to really think about that the next time you say that you have anxiety or you tell someone else they're having anxiety, because let's not take away from the fact that people who have true clinical anxiety are experiencing something much different than you, okay? So name it what it is. I'm feeling stress or fear or overwhelm, or I'm having anxiety. And anxiety is an inappropriate reaction of fear to something that doesn't make sense. Okay, so please keep that in mind going forward when we talk about stress and anxiety. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about fear and overwhelm and that part of it because that's what a lot of people are experiencing. And if you are experiencing clinical anxiety, try and go to a more, psychological doctor or resource other than this because I'm not, going to be able to give you the kind of help that you need to manage that anxiety, but these skills will still translate to you. So please stay and listen, and hopefully these will help as well. So when we're talking about anxiety and fear, we're going to call it fear from now on. Here's the problem with fear is we have this idea in our head about the fear. And once we hit the part of the fear that is like the absolute worst thing that could happen, we just stop there and we circle it and we just stay on that one tiny spot, one moment of the worst thing ever. And we don't see anything before or anything after. It's just that idea of terrible and the emotion that we might have if that did happen, and we drown there. Let me give you an example. So let's say I fear that my husband would cheat on me. Okay, it's a fear that I have. If I, think in my head, oh my gosh, what if he told me that he has another wife and a child or something? And I get stuck there, like, oh my gosh, that would be the worst thing ever. I would basically die in place. Like, there's no way I could handle that emotion. And I just think about that moment and that fear and that feeling that I would have, and I drown there. I drown in what I assume it would feel like. So, what you can do to manage fear, okay? There's two things that we can do to manage fear. First thing is naming fear. Fear does not like to be named. And when I say name it, I mean really dig in and understand what you're afraid of. If you are afraid of your husband cheating on you, what are you really afraid of? Are you afraid of being alone? Are you afraid of not being able to pay the bills if he's gone? Are you afraid of feeling as though you're not worth loving if someone did that to you? Are you afraid of tearing apart a family? What is it specifically about that instance that makes you terrified? And name it. I am terrified of living alone. I am terrified of what my friends will think if that happened. I'm terrified of blank. Name it. Know it. Own it. Because when you name it, it takes away so much of its power. when you really say to yourself, this is what I fear, all of a sudden it becomes a thing that you can manage. It becomes a thing that you can see. You can do a 360 around and go, oh, this is what I'm afraid of. Not just I'm afraid. I really recommend when you have fears to really dig deep, okay? The next strategy for dealing with fear is something I like to call taking her all the way, okay? Oh my God. All right, and when I say take it all the way, I mean take it all the way. This is what I mean by that. So let's go with the original example of fearing being cheated on. So we get stuck and we stop right at the moment where we find out or it gets told to us, right? So my strategy is, what happens next? Okay, what happens next? What happens next is maybe I'll pack all my things and I'll leave. And then what happens after that? Well, I'll probably drive to a friend's house and I'll stay there for a couple nights. What happens next? All right, well, I'm probably gonna have to find my own apartment and I'll have my own apartment and move into there. What happens next? Okay, I might move to a different city so that I'm not in the same area. I might need to rearrange my finances to allow me to live by myself. What happens next? Keep going. Like, okay, well, I'm probably going to go and start dating again after a certain amount of time. I'm probably going to have a couple dates with different people. Next, I'm probably going to find another partner eventually. Next, I'm probably going to move in with that partner eventually, and I'm going to be happy and I'm going to be fine. Okay? When we take it, keep taking it to a point where you can say, and then I'll be fine. Let's say, for example, you're terrified of being in debt or going bankrupt or not having enough money, okay? So let's do it one more time with that. Let's say you have to file bankruptcy, okay? The ultimate worst thing happens. Go there, I have to file bankruptcy. What happens after that? Well, I'm probably going to have to rearrange my finances. I'm probably going to have to talk to different financial advisors. I might have to borrow money from my family or friends. I'm going to not be able to use credit for a while. I'm going to have to build up my score again. I'm going to have to find a job that gives me more money. Keep going. And eventually, I'll be fine. And eventually, I'll make it through. And eventually, things will be okay again. So try and do that with a couple of your fears, big or small, whether it's driving or the dark or getting cheated on or losing your job or going bankrupt, and go all the way. Take it all the way until you are fine. And that's how you manage fear. I hope that this was helpful, and let me know what you thought of this video. Thanks, guys. Bye.